The Knicks bounce back from an in-season tournament defeat to win a physical battle against the Orlando Magic. We talk about it right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, guys? You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. I want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. I also want to remind you, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. That's right. We're coming to you every single day. The Locked On Knicks newsletter is your one-stop shop for daily Knicks coverage. Check out writing from Alex and I, from our team of national writers here at Locked On, and of course, the best in fantasy basketball from Josh Lloyd. Again, to subscribe, that's lockedondaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. And if you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button in the corner of your screen on YouTube or on your podcast platform if you're listening to us on the go. And comment your favorite moment in this game. I thought there were like kind of a lot of like mini highlights, mini battles that the Knicks won in this one. We're about to get into it, but first, I'm Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster. He's Alex Wolf, editor-in-chief of the Strickland. The New York Knicks 100-91 over the Orlando Magic, a game that was kind of going on in fits and starts, but it was weird in that Orlando might have led early in the first quarter. I can't really remember, but it was about as close to a wire-to-wire win as you could get. We're never really, like, maybe I'm biased because I watched it on delay, Alex, and I knew going in the Knicks would win. To me, it never really felt like, even if I hadn't known that the Knicks were going to lose this game, like basically maintained like an 8-point lead throughout and weathered the storm of Orlando just trying to break the backboard on one end, like impossibly bad shooting, 3 for 17, looked like the in-season tournament game between the Rockets and the Thunder from last night, and also just essentially playing Jalen Suggs' other sport, football out there, tackling the Knicks all over the court. The Knicks withstood it, enough plays down the stretch, they hold on. Big time win that they really needed after what was a miserable Hawks game.
Yeah, and I think that, we saw them sort of respond a lot to what happened in that Hawks game in this game in a way. And, the obvious caveat here being the Magic are without their two best players. But the Knicks ran into the same team, like a week ago and beat them pretty handily, but also, they're still going to play hard. Like they took the Bucks to the limit, in the in-season tournament and actually, pressed them a bit and looked like it, they maybe could have pulled off an upset there. So like it's a well-coached team. It's a physical team. It's a team that has one of the best defenses in the NBA, which is generally something that can withstand the loss of, a star or two, which we've seen, with the Knicks in the past, even as recently as last year, when they were without Julius Randle and OG Anunoby and even Brunson for times, and yet still were playing teams really tight. So any team can beat you any given night. And so, I think that what I saw out of this game was that whereas the Knicks sort of laid down the other night after just getting out physicaled by the Hawks and, defended really hard and kind of beat up a bit. And, we saw some things not get called and all that. And we saw it sort of, I think, take them out of their element at, going down the stretch of the game where, it hit that certain point where the Hawks all of a sudden were just allowed to get backdoor cuts. Like when the Knicks still were sort of in the game, like all of a sudden they just started pressing really hard on Trae Young and letting the Hawks get backdoor cut after backdoor cut and whatever. In this one, the Magic were getting the whistle of a team with a defensive reputation, like it was a very physical game. And instead of getting mad about it in terms of being like pouty mad about it, the Knicks got mad about it in terms of like punching back, basically. Whether it was literally like Cat getting a little too carried away and going for a pretty obvious elbow to Mo Wagner's face because he's felt very annoyed by Mo Wagner, like all the rest of us, for the last week and change. Or whether it was Jalen Brunson just kind of throwing his body right at Jalen Suggs and daring him to foul him. And Jalen Suggs was like gladly and did it like 3 times in the course of like a matter of a couple minutes to foul himself out of the game down the stretch, including just a ridiculous final sequence in which he just like I mean, he assaulted Brunson like 4 times in a row, and then was like, the foul finally gets called, and then he was like, "What did I do?" It's like, dude, you were slapping him, you were pulling his shorts, you hit his arm like 4 times, like, I don't know. And Brunson clearly knew that that's what he wanted to get out of that possession, and he got it. So I kind of liked that they were able to flip the script on one of these teams that plays super physical, and particularly in the case of Brunson, end up with 14 free throw attempts, and just all in all, like a pretty fantastic scoring performance where he shot like well, but not like crazy good, and yet still eclipsed 31 points, just by the virtue of the fact that he was able to get to the free throw line so much and take advantage of a team that wanted to play physical but wasn't necessarily as interested in playing disciplined.
Yeah, I thought Jalen was awesome in this one. It wasn't all on Suggs. Like, he got a bunch of his step back threes when Suggs was out of the game, and Suggs did have possessions where he played good defense on him. But all in all, I cannot say the full word, but this is the only thing I can think of to evoke what Jalen did to Jalen Suggs. Kind of big deed him in this game, related to a sponsor we have later this week. Like, just especially like that late drive he had about halfway through the fourth quarter, where like Suggs was right in his grill, and Jalen said, "You know what, screw it," and like went right at him, put a shoulder on him, laid it in. It's like the type of take you typically see from like a really big wing, like an OG Anunoby, and you don't typically see point guards like this side of Russell Westbrook have those types of takes to the rim. And Jalen just shrugged him off. As I said before, he mixed in his three. Like, I thought his change of pace was just nasty. Like, his very first bucket of the game was something that he's just started loving doing about halfway through last season, and has stuck with it. Like, kind of like turning horizontal as if someone was going to come for a dribble handoff, and then just jolting to the rim, and then just a hard break to send Suggs like flying. And Suggs did a good job to slow himself down, but Jalen got a wide open layup off it, and just like 3 or 4 times made arguably the best point guard defender in basketball look stupid. I thought he was just really, really solid. I love the emotion we got from Jalen. Like, honestly, very similar from Mikal Bridges, who just had a huge game getting to the basket in this one. Like, I don't know if we want to totally move off Brunson yet, but Mikal had 3 layups in about an 8-minute stretch. And it's hard to overstate how revelatory that is when the guy went like a week earlier this season without even taking a shot at the rim. Like, I was just super impressed with his first half in particular, and how he was able to attack the rim.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I think with Mikal also, it was good to just see him in uh, emotionally invested in this game,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that he tries to approach every game with sort of that cool, calm, collected demeanor,
Mhm.
and that works sometimes, but sometimes it gives off the impression that, and especially with like some of his post game comments recently, where he's sat down the stretch of games or whatever, and then comes out and just says, "Well, I get it." It's like, no, like, get angry, dude. Like, show a little emotion. Like, fight for this. It's like, it's almost like a relationship. Like when people are like, like, come on, fight for this relationship, right? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that. And to see him in this one get mad a little bit, and just like the rest of everybody on the team did, like, you know, start seeking contact and start seeking to find his way inside. And even just the little things like, when Goga Bitadze uh, you know, traveled on the inside and was going for a dunk, but like obviously travel got called for it. And then Mikal kind of like got knocked over by him. And then he's just sitting there doing the traveling motion at him and like staring at him the whole time he's walking by. Like, it's good to see that sort of emotion out of him. But more importantly, to see him, especially like he didn't shoot super well from 3 in this game, like 1 of 3. But to end the day shooting 7 of 11, find some shots on the inside to get them to go rather than just going for that mid-range shot, end up with 17 points overall. I mean, the stat line, honestly, like it's like 17 and then like 5 ones on his stat line. It's like 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover. Like, it doesn't look the most eye-popping when you first look at it for a guy who played 41 minutes, but I thought this was a big game for him, sort of certainly turning my perception around a little bit about him as like a player and a competitor, based off what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, he had maybe the play that sealed the win. Like, they were obviously in pretty good position already, but up by 12 with 150 left, chasing down Tristan Da Silva for a block after Jalen Suggs, give him credit for this, had done that to the Knicks about 4 times in this game. It was looking like prime LeBron chasing people down. But I was just really like impressed with, like, he doesn't seem to fear getting to the rim. Like, still not getting a ton of free throws. That's the next step. But you know what? In a game like this where you're getting clean layups, like, got one in transition early. That was an and one, like on a give and go with OG. That was one of my favorite sequences of the game. After Precious poked it away, Jalen saved it from going out of bounds. OG was sprinting up the court, pass to Bridges, pass back, pass again to Bridges for the layup. Had another one where he just, like, I can't remember if it was off a rebound or if he was the first pass off the rebound, but basically traversed 75% of the court up and under through 2 different Magic defenders. I thought his defense on Suggs in the first half was fine. Like, it was a lot of, like, Suggs was, we should say, terrible shooting the ball in this game as the Magic's number 1 option, 4 for 19. And Bridges did not have a lot to do with that in the first half. I thought Suggs was just shooting badly. In the second half, I thought it was similar to the start that he had against the Hawks. Like, just a really good job chasing Suggs around screens, like sticking with him. Like, even when the technique wasn't perfect, like, really tenacious defense and a level of effort we just haven't consistently seen from Mikal. Like, ended his night with like an and one fadeaway banker. It was a complete game. Like, the next step for him, I think, like, I was looking at his stats now over the last 10 games, up to 19 points, shooting 51% from the field, 39% from 3, only 3 rebounds, only 3 assists. Like, I just want to see, like, give me a 10 rebound game every once in a while. Give me a 7 assist game every once in a while. Part of it is that Jalen has the ball so often, but I just want to see him filling up those ancillary stat categories. But these last 10 games, like, it's a substantial stretch of good basketball that makes me think the worst is behind us.
Yeah, I hope so too. And the worst never really found us with Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that he's generally had a fantastic season, but just another phenomenal game for him, his first 2020 game of his Knicks career. So I want to talk about him in just a moment, maybe a little Josh Hart talk, and more when we get back in on Locked On Knicks. But first, we want to let you know about our friends over at Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and can be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
And we want to remind you that this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are a good time and also a tough time for a lot of people. My single favorite thing around the holidays is getting to spend some time with family. I'm going back to New York to see all my parents, my friends, my dogs, going to spend some time with my girlfriend's family in Maryland. So I am super excited, whether it's wrapping up in a blanket, mug of hot chocolate, watching a classic movie. For me, that was watching The Town. That's how Joe Mazzulla gets fired up. That's how I get fired up too. But again, it can also be like a tough time for a lot of people. And therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Therapy has been revolutionary for my life. I'm sure it can be for you as well. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, now time for some Knicks-related therapy, but you don't really need it because they won the game. Karl-Anthony Towns, I thought this was kind of, I think erratic would be the best way to describe it. Spastic even, like 22 points, 22 rebounds, 5 assists. You look at that stat line, you're like, all right, that's an incredible game. What the hell are you talking about? Only made 1 3, 6 turnovers, 4 fouls, like chaos embodied was Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, I feel like we got all the highs and all the lows. I thought his rim protection and his defense in general took a step back when I believe he's been playing at a really high level the last 6 or 7 games relative to his standards, like just consistently making other teams feel him around the basket on both ends of the floor. This game, he was a little bit of a non-factor early at the rim. Fell asleep on Mo Wagner a few times when he wasn't elbowing him in the face. He was allowing him to shoot 4 for 7 from 3 and drop 32 and 6 to basically single-handedly keep the Magic in the game. It was essentially just him and Tristan da Silva. They combined for 52 over Orlando's 91. No one else could hit a shot for the Magic. So that was really harmful. I think there are some points off for that for Towns, but also just some really good driving. I was doing a little bit of a deep dive, Alex, on the stats for him this year, because I'm like, he gets to the rim a lot, but he's not really finishing all that well this season. 63% at the rim. That's only 32nd percentile for bigs. Second lowest mark of his career after last season, but a career high 47% of his shots are coming at the rim. So you'll take that trade-off just because even if he's not extremely efficient at the rim by his standards, it is inherently a very efficient shot. So still good that he's getting there a lot. Want to see him continue to finish better. One other area I want to note that he's worked on, like in the past, he was just terrible passing out of the post and passing out of double teams. And that was like a big red mark on him during Tom Thibodeau's era, coaching the team where he really liked to have Cat post up a lot. He's just been sublime this year. Like since opening night, hasn't really gotten like rattled at all when other teams double. And Orlando sent like their 2 bigs at him at one point, just calmly waited it out, slung it out to Hart for a 3. Like he was doing some good stuff there. One other possession I have to note, just because I got deja vu. There was a play where Jalen got Mo Wagner on a switch and Cat had Goga on him, and he comes right up to Jalen, calls for the ball at the elbow, jab steps and clanks along too. And I was like, is that Julius Randle? Is this ghosts of Knicks missed pass right now? So that was surreal and a little discouraging, but overall, you got to compliment the 20 and 20 for Cat. So I'll call it a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It definitely was a little erratic. I think that I'm willing to give him a pass because he had 6'11" TJ McConnell to deal with for much of this game.
It's a good way.
I mean, I just generally think Mo Wagner is just the latest in a long line of guys that for whatever reason has like earned this reputation of like he's a rough and tumble player, so like he could do no wrong, whatever. Like the dude literally, I mean, 3/4 of what he does on a basketball court is illegal at all times. And like, I'm not saying this just to like hate on the Magic or anything else. Like I'm specifically hating on Mo Wagner because I think he plays basketball like a dirtbag. I mean, just every screen he's like 2-hand shoving people on every single screen he sets and doesn't get called for it, which I know people on the Knicks aren't necessarily always immune to either. And yet it feels like every single one he does that. Every single time he can like hook someone's arm or do something dirty, he's doing it. He just annoys the crap out of me. Clearly annoys the crap out of everybody that he comes into contact with, which he seems to really enjoy. He seems to really enjoy that fact. But I'll throw a compliment the way of the Magic and just say Tristan da Silva I think is legit. Like I really like him a lot. That dude, I really liked him going into the draft and then realized like there's a 99% chance he would not make it anywhere near where the Knicks would be able to get him. But like, I feel like if that's a guy that was on the Knicks this year, he would, as a rookie, be breaking the rotation right now. Like, I think that he does a lot of Tibbsy type stuff.
Dude, I was having the exact same thought, but about Goga. And I was like, man, I wish we could have signed him because he's like springy, smart, can finish around the rim, like combines a lot of the best of Precious and Jericho and even Huck Porty in one player. So that would have been cool. But you know what? Mitch is coming back, so it's fine.
Yeah, I do really like a lot of the players on the Magic. Like I'm little like in a weird way where like, I love the Knicks and I love where that, but like I'm a little jealous like the fact that they have such a cool combination of young players on the Magic too. At any rate, let me get back to Karl Towns. So like,
Sure. Yeah.
I don't blame him on getting angry and turning this into almost like a game of pickup at a certain point with Wagner, where he just was going back and forth. I mean, there was one sequence, I think it was in second quarter, maybe it was the third quarter, where they just like, I mean, clearly we're just had it with each other and we're just going back and forth. And it was like anything you can do, I can do better kind of competition. And I think that's sort of where Cat's overall, like what led to that ultimate moment where he called it for that ISO against Goga was just sort of a whole game of feeling like he just had to like, anytime the Magic did anything or anytime one of their centers specifically did anything, and more specifically Mo Wagner, like he was just like, well, I need the ball so I could do it better, like because I hate this guy. and I want to just wipe him off the face of the earth. And he did that a few times. He almost wiped him off the face of the earth with his elbow. They were looking at it, and Cat's a crafty guy. Like even Bill Pito on the announce desk was like, I don't know. It looks like it was a basketball move. I'm like, he knows how to make it look like it was a basketball move.
Yeah.
Like he's really good at disguising that. But he clearly got a little pissed. But I don't mind it because I kind of Cat is the one guy that I guess other than maybe like Brunson and I guess like Hart, but like some of the guys on this team this year we've had our concerns with their intensity level. I never have that with Cat, so it's not like I'm worried that he needed to do this. Sort of like in the sense where I said like I thought Mikal kind of needed this game, but it's still always good to see out of him. I like that he brings that fire. I like that he's willing to get in his feels a little bit, as long as he doesn't like foul himself out of a game, which he managed to not do in this game. So like I'd much rather he do what he did in this game and end up with 4 fouls and 1 flagrant foul and a few boneheaded plays, rather than like do what he did the other day and just get frustrated to the point of committing kind of silly fouls and then getting himself out of a game where he was one of the only guys that could produce for the Knicks in that said game. So I all in all, I liked the game for him. That's why I kind of grade it higher, even though I acknowledge he did have some kind of dumb moves at various points in this game.
Yeah, but he wasn't the only one who brought the fire. I thought Josh Hart, a lot of passion down the stretch of this one, a ridiculous defensive second half that saw him have, I think, 4 steals all in the second half, at least 4 stocks, maybe 5 stocks in the second half. He was doing a lot. We'll talk through the rest of the Knicks, what this win means next here on Locked On Knicks.
But first, we got to let you know about our good friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And perhaps if you listen to me, this week, recording right now on Sunday night after the Knicks game, but also after NFL action today, you would have bet the Jets to win finally, because the Jets only know how to win when it benefits them to lose, and they only know how to lose when it benefits them to win. That's how that team works. So you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to find a way to beat the Los Angeles Rams this week as well, and just further tank their options of getting another quarterback this year, because who needs quarterbacks? It's not even an important position. They're currently at a +3 versus the Rams this week. I would say hammer that and maybe just bet the money line that the Jets are going to win, because I'm for sure they're going to win. Anyway, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, maybe you bet $5 on the Jets to win this week. Maybe not a bad idea. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Gavin, we're back in to get through our final points on this nice little Knicks win. Good one right before, actually we should note too, like a nice one right before a unseasonable break, thanks to the NBA Cup. So I guess you and I, we catch YouTube comment hate sometimes, being like, "You guys, why do you guys hate the Cup so much?" Like, I still kind of hate it, man. I don't know. I'm not going to apologize for it, and yet, let me just acknowledge it's kind of nice that the Knicks did not make the finals, so they don't have to play the 83rd regular season game, and also now get like 4 days off between games, which is a nice little thing to have this early in the season. Little chance to kind of heal up any nicks and bruises, and all in all, Brunson said it after the game, like, just get some more practice time in. So glad to see that. But Josh Hart certainly left it all out there in this game, getting ready for that break. And kind of throwing his body around. He had a pretty hilarious point at one point in this game where he take Suggs inside as well. Suggs was
he gave like a little elbow extension, little push off, didn't get called. Suggs went sprawling, laid it in, and kind of stared him down. Yeah,
poor Suggs. I mean, I kind of understand why he got pissed off too. Like Brunson and Hart and others were kind of picking on him a little bit too. But he was also playing like jerky defense in this game. So, they kind of at a certain point were just like, well, if you're going to like hit us every time, we're going to hit you back. And they're not going to call it because they're not calling it when you're hitting us. So, Hart did that, did this guy
Yeah, did the
emote.
too small and De Silva too at the end. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, the Silva one was the one I was thinking of. That was the
Yeah.
this guy and then the too
Yeah.
small. But yeah, he
Mm,
also did it to he did it to Suggs as well. So
mm.
gave De Silva one of his welcome to the NBA moments. Also, for as much as I just praised De Silva, he got put on skates by Brunson at one point too for a
Yeah.
really nice step back. So the Knicks had their fun with with some of these Magic guys at different points. Hart looked like he was having a lot of fun. Generated a lot of steals. Was crazy in the passing lanes. One point picked was it Anthony Black's pocket, and was going to start running with it, and then got tripped, and did a nice little penguin slide. That was cool. But all in all, just Gavin, I thought a great great game for Josh Hart in terms of being the heart of the team, as it were. He was kind of the one in this one that, with OG having sort of a muted game by his standards again, and Mikal more finding himself on offense, I thought that Hart was kind of that guy that kind of kept the defensive engine purring in this one.
Yeah, he had a really quiet first half, or at least I need to go back and rewatch. I didn't really notice him in the first half, but I thought the defense in the second half, yeah, I mean, you said it, like really high level, like swatted De Silva before that. And I bet De Silva at some point like scored over him and probably said something back, which is probably what led to the too small at the end of the game. I thought the little push off on Suggs just sent a message being like, we're not going to take this. And as much as Brunson was going at him, like I think that emotionally flipped the tide of this game, that I don't know if the Knicks were ever in real danger of losing anyways, just because, again, no one on Orlando outside of Wagner and De Silva could make a shot. But that it felt like that sort of confirmed, like, all right, we're messing around with you, but when it gets serious, we're going to bully you. We're going to get to the rim. I don't care about your defensive reputation. I'm going right at you. Though I thought his best shot of the game was neither of those. Like the last one you mentioned was when he split a double and got an and one on De Silva. The best one to me, he had like an outside spin move into a flip shot on De Silva that you could see on the replay. He was basically behind the backboard when he threw it up. Like just insane touch to get that one to go down. So he was really impressive. And then outside of that, like a weird game where like there just wasn't that much to note. Like I can run through my final few. Like I think Precious like just needs to look at the rim a little more. Like he had a Sims sequence basically where he got the ball and was just waiting for Jalen to circle around him so he could do a little dribble handoff. Like that's not going to fly. We know Precious can be more aggressive. Like I'm still sort of waiting to see that. I thought in the preseason, he looked really good and he was attacking off the dribble a lot. And we've seen that a couple of times since he's come back. I really want that more consistently. Deuce didn't have a great game, 0 for 4 from 2, did hit 2 big threes, got a big deuce from the Orlando crowd. Campaign, very quiet 10 minutes. He also hasn't been quite the same guy since coming back from injury. The one thing I will note on him is he just had like a great inbounds pass where Mikal had a really nice cut, lost, I think it was Jet Howard, got wide open. Jonathan Isaac noticed and came over to guard him. And then Campaign just stared down the corner, pump fake there. Isaac looked, and then he just slipped it to Mikal for a layup. So that was brilliant. Great pass by Campaign. But I'll leave it to you. What do you think of OG? Because he was coming off what I called arguably his worst game of the season where he shot terribly. This one, 2 fouls early. Maybe he sort of lost his rhythm, but just a lack of aggressiveness from him, right? Like no free throws after that 7-game stretch of 2 blocks, doesn't get one, only 1 steal. The 1 steal was sick. He like fell on his back and kind of flopped to get the ball. But what have you thought of him of late? Because he's sort of struggled since that like just scalding start to the year.
Yeah, and sort of in general since that like 40-point game where
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, where that was sort of like the apex, and since
Mhm.
then he's kind of just been a little bit of a lull, I guess. I don't know. I don't quite know how to diagnose it because it doesn't seem like anything. It doesn't seem like he's hurting or anything. It doesn't seem like anything is different for him. It just kind of seems like I don't know if he's in his own head. I don't know if it's just. Hopefully, it's not anything where he's frustrated with any situation or anything. But like, it just seems like he's been a little lackadaisical lately, I guess. I don't know if that's like quite the word. Like it's not like he's not trying, but it almost seems like he's on autopilot. Like it's rare that and this is the one thing I will say about recently up until now is like the defense has still had its shining moments lately. It's just the offense has been pretty off. But this is one of the first games where I felt like I didn't really notice him on either end of the floor. And that's, I guess, a little concerning, although maybe I don't know, maybe he's feeling a little burnout. Maybe he needs this little break that they're about to get. And, the NBA Cup break here that they're about to get. Like, he didn't play like a huge amount of minutes in this one, at least not by the standards of what everybody's been playing so far this year, like 36-43. So not quite 37 minutes. Like, meanwhile, Cat played like 43 minutes. Mikal played 41. Brunson played 38. So, everybody had to play quite a few minutes in this game. And yet, you still look at the box score and he was still the highest plus minus on the team. So maybe he's just doing more things than we realize. But to me, it just seemed like he was just kind of out there in this game. Like, he was just on the floor. I struggle to even really think of any times other than maybe that steal where like I really noticed much of what he was doing on on the floor in this one. But everybody's going to have those games from time to time. I hope he comes back out of this little break and comes back out aggressive again, because if we start seeing him more aggressive again and an aggressive Mikal Bridges and Brunson playing like he's playing and Cat playing like he's playing and Hart playing like, I mean, that's one of the best starting fives of basketball on any given night if they're all locked in and at their best selves. So hopefully we'll start being able to see that soon. I mean, I guess the guys that I really need to see, show a little more so that these guys can stop playing 40 minutes would be the bench. Another game where the bench didn't really play much at all. It was an 8-man rotation, but barely. I mean, Campaign played 10 minutes. Deuce played about 21. He looked okay. Like, the 3-point shot was good. Maybe looks like he's a little hampered by it re-aggravating that knee issue as far as on drives and stuff, and just like didn't quite get up strong enough on that one transition dunk attempt and got blocked by Jalen Suggs, which I feel like maybe he would have gone up a little stronger for, maybe gone for a reverse or something otherwise, but maybe I'm projecting a little bit. And then Achua too, I thought, played 17 and a half minutes. I feel like we're just kind of waiting through that period where it's all just going to click for him again at some point. Like, it's almost like when Mitch comes back from injuries and there's always that like 10-game stretch where like, oh my God, did he forget how to play basketball? And then all of a sudden it just clicks and then he's back. And it's great. I feel like we're going to run into that with Precious, because there was sort of that same thing last year where he had to earn his spot in the rotation. And at a certain point it just clicked, and then he was amazing the rest of the year for the most part. So maybe that's just what we're waiting on, but hopefully we'll start seeing a little more out of the bench soon. I would love if against a team without two of their star players, if we could start seeing, the Knicks deploy a 3 to 4 man bench unit, that can sop up some minutes and give these guys a little bit more rest from time to time. But the long layoff after this game might have played a little bit into that decision-making process too.
Yeah, it might be maybe something to explore this week in a full episode, but that's an area the Knicks, like, if they're going to make a trade, could be looking to upgrade, could be looking to just find someone who can create their own shot. Campaign at his best can give you a little bit of that. You expect that from Deuce, and it's been like a pretty extended stretch. I mean, to your point, the injury is a factor of him not doing that, but he has had 4 straight games in single digits. The one before that, he only had 10. It took until like the last Magic game where he got 18 was like the last really good performance he's had. So would be nice to just like, I kind of just want to see him get up like 12 shots or 14 shots. Some of that is minutes, some of that is role. Like, as Mikal gets more aggressive, like, he'll get a little bit less touches just because Mikal often plays with the bench, but that he's kind of the bellwether for that group. And you hope at some point in the season, Tom Thibodeau said, hey, I kind of feel like Pacom Dadier is ready right now, or someone else is ready to take on a little bit more, because it just feels like even in the playoffs, like, obviously there's less of a need, but the Knicks are going to need someone, I think, just to get through the regular season to step up and bring some scoring, because they got outscored, I think, by 41 off the bench in this game. Again, pretty much all that was Mo Wagner. So it's not something to panic about, but just as we keep going, like, you just have all these games where you're like, all 5 starters played well. They only beat the depleted Magic by 10. And you can kind of point to the bench when that happens more often than not. But anyways, that's as long as I care to talk about this ugly, ugly war of a basketball game. The Knicks will not play till Thursday. We'll be back with you tomorrow here on Locked On Knicks. He's Alex. I'm Gavin. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.